Alright, good afternoon guys. My name is Petty Officer Sangria. I'll be talking to you guys about DUI and standard field sobriety testing. The sources that I'm going to be using for my speech, it's going to be out of the NSA Naples DUI Standard Operating Procedure, as well as the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, U.S. Department of Transportation, as well as the Manual for Court Martial, specifically the UCMJ Article 111, which pertains to a DUI or drunk on duty or driving under the influence. Excuse me. DUI effects. We all know, we've been in this job for a while. We know that DUI affects all of us, whether on, off base, on or off duty. It could affect people's lives. People driving drunk, get into an accident, kill somebody. It's very important. In the military, it also affects our career. If you get in trouble, get charged under UCMJ for drunk driving, you could lose your career. You could be thrown out of the military for that. So again, very important that we don't drink and drive. But as military police officers, we need to know how to mitigate these threats, right? So we need to know what a traffic stop is, how to conduct it lawfully, meaning you need to have probable cause or reasonable suspicion that a crime has occurred. Specifically for drunk driving, again, we're going to cover standard field sobriety testing, which is in 3 phases, broken down in 3 phases. First being the vehicle in motion. Whether you're a sentry or patrolman, you'll be able to see a vehicle traveling towards you or driving on base, exhibiting signs that might tell you that he or she is intoxicated. Driving at night with no lights, speeding, going extra slow, asking them for a driver's license, and they give you a credit card if you're working in a sentry capacity at the gate. If you see all that, at that point you do have reasonable suspicion that they're intoxicated, and you would conduct a traffic stop, at which point we go into phase 2, which is the initial contact portion. For the initial contact portion, again, you'd be able to see signs that the person might be intoxicated, specifically slurred speech, red eyes, watery eyes. Again, you ask them for their driver's license, they issue their Visa card, those types of things. And all these things here, again, add to your level of suspicion and will allow you at that point to proceed on to step 3, which is the standard field sobriety testing itself. The officer would ask the person, the driver, to step out of the vehicle, and the first thing they can do from there is just, before they start the testing, ask if the person, if they're taking any medication, or if they have any disabilities that would preclude them or hinder them from doing the actual test. If they don't, then from there the officer could proceed on with the first test, which is the horizontal gaze nystagmus test. This is the HGN. This is the test where the officers are looking for your eyes to follow the tip of their pen or their finger with just your eyes only. If you're not going to be able to do that successfully if you've consumed any amount of alcohol, it's very, very difficult. It's called an involuntary jerking of the eyes. The next test from there, it's the walk and turn test. And again, for these tests, before the officer starts any of the tests, he gives you instructions how to stand a certain way, so on and so forth. Even for the instruction phase, while you're doing the instruction, the officer could deduct you points or write down clues or hits that you exhibited while you were in that class, or excuse me, in that test. For the one leg stand specifically, the officer would ask you to raise 1 foot off the ground, 6 to 8 inches, with the toes facing up, and from there he would ask you to count to 30, 1,000, 2, 1,000. If while you're performing that test, if you put your foot back down on the ground, that's a hit. If you start hopping, that's another hit. All these things, they add up at the end of the test, the whole test phase. How many clues or hits did you get? And that'll amount to the officer's probable cause to place you on arrest for suspicion of drunk driving. All right. The last and final test is going to be the walk and turn. And for this portion here, again, the officer starts by giving you instructions, stand a certain way while I'm explaining to you what you have to do. For the walk and turn test, you're going to be standing 1 foot in front of the other, and then from there he's going to ask you to take 9 steps heel to toe. When you get to your 9th step, you're going to turn in place, and again, the officer shows you how to do that, and take 9 steps back. And again, for hits, coming off the line, not going heel to toe, you could use your arms to balance for that particular one, but not for the one leg stand. And that's pretty much it. Again, depending on how many hits you got, the officer from there will determine this person had so many clues. I think they are intoxicated. At this point, I'm going to take them into custody for suspicion of driving under the influence, which is a probable cause that he needed to place him under arrest. From there, they take him to the precinct, put him on the intoxilators 8,000 to get an accurate blood alcohol content. And for Naples, Italy, on our basis, the legal limit is much lower than the United States. In Naples, Italy, it's 0.05, as opposed to the United States, 0.08. And lastly, on our part, it's just to document it properly in the incident complaint report, ensuring we have all the enclosures. If this case ends up going to court-martial or count smashed, Article 15. That's about it as far as my class goes or my speech goes. But I just wanted to reiterate how important it is that we know how to handle these types of cases, because they do happen on and off base pretty frequently, and thankfully not very frequently lives are lost, especially in our military and military bases. All right, so does everybody feel comfortable right now if they had to do a traffic stop and a DUI case from start to finish? That's good. That's good. All right. That's all I have. Does anybody have any questions or concerns? Okay. These are the members of my audience.